AEW, boy, oh 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 boy. Tony Khan must be a very sad man right now. Because
he's that Ishii meme.
There's no one who wanted CM Punk to work in AEW more than Tony Khan himself. Right?
Yep.
And it took a lot of pain, I'm sure, and it took a lot of headaches, and it took a lot of time to try to make that work for what was it, 2 years? We went 2 years of trying to make that work.
Yeah.
And ultimately in the end, he lost out on CM Punk, and CM Punk goes to WWE, if you want to just get a laugh about it, because Jack Perry couldn't keep his mouth shut. That was just that was the boiling point, right? And I remember saying this to you, Ryan. I said he couldn't just not say anything. That's all Jack Perry had to do, right? Because let me preface this. I know there's a very good chance CM Punk still could have been fired since then. But my point is,
very, very could.
But my point is, he probably would have made it further, and maybe this wasn't an instant reality, but there was so much time between when he got fired and now that it became almost too perfect for them not to do it. AEW, they need to do a lot as is, right? With or without CM Punk. This isn't a death blow to them, because I just think the way they run their company, they can get back into the hearts of many fans, because there's a lot of AEW fans who are frustrated with the product. There are a lot of AEW fans who want the product to be better, and they know the product can be better.
Yeah.
It just takes them going back to what made them great in the first place. That's what they got to do. And they really need to embrace that now more than ever.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And AEW, I think, is going to be fine. Obviously, they just signed Will Ospreay, so that's a big deal. I mean,
Edge,
a big money mover, Edge. If the McIntyre thing doesn't work out, hey, guess what? Drew Galloway, new AEW signing, Drew Galloway. Yeah, I think that AEW is an interesting spot. I think you're right that it ultimately won't really hurt AEW as much as it could have been before, because I think AEW is in a different
spot. It hurts Tony Khan more than AEW.
Yeah, it hurts Tony Khan more personally than AEW, because AEW is in a different spot than it was before. If anything, right now, for a lot of people, I think they would agree that AEW has its own problems to figure out before addressing the whole CM Punk stuff. The bro chacho stories, all these characters and whatnot that we don't enjoy. We did a whole podcast about this. A lot of the things that's going on wrong in the company right now are CM Punk coming in wouldn't have fixed this.
No.
So it is one of those things. I think also it's just emblematic of that feeling. Garrett Kidney had a great tweet thread about this, that the sort of idea of that feeling of that beginning 2019 feeling of that anti-WWE, what's that phrase Tony Khan keeps using all the time in regards to AEW, that secondary, not secondary brand, but alternate brand, or whatever the hell the name of that thing is called. But that idea of Cody Rhodes was the face of that, of the sort of fighting against WWE. CM Punk was was the spirit of that pipe bomb promo, was what became AEW. That's what the whole fight was about. And so him coming in was very spiritual successor almost of that pipe bomb promo was AEW. Now both of those people are gone, and you really don't have anybody. Jericho has never really been that. He has on a professional stance, but nothing really drum up the troops sort of on television. Moxley has also not really been that. He has also been sort of professional. Danielson has definitely never been that. And that's kind of all you got. Everyone else beyond that, there's a laundry list of people that seemingly are waiting for their AEW contracts to run up in 2025 to bounce back to WWE. To name a few, FTR, Malachi, Miro, all these people seemingly are waiting for their contracts to come up so they can go back to WWE. So I think it's just sort of an issue of, if you're going to find that feeling back, I don't know if that feeling is ever going to come back, because there really isn't anyone to replace that feeling as we know on television. And beyond, I don't know, CM Punk pissing off like Seth Rollins or something, and then Seth Rollins pops over to AEW, we get the return of Tyler Black. I don't really know how you ever recapture that feeling. I think that feeling is now officially dead and gone, which sucks. That's the bigger issue for AEW. That's the bigger Punk hit that does this for AEW, is that original 2019 AEW feeling, I think, is truly dead and gone. And unless Cody Rhodes comes back, which will be diminishing returns, I don't think Punk will ever come back unless someone other like Seth Rollins-esque level star in WWE bounces over to AEW with such vitriol on live television. I don't think you're ever going to get that feeling. And I don't think Will Ospreay's bringing that feeling with him. He's a great signing. He's one of the best. He's the best wrestler in the world right now. He's not bringing that feeling. It's a hole. It's a hole to climb out. And they got bigger issues right now.
I've said this on the show multiple times that Cody Rhodes was like a bigger domino than I think people wanted to give it credit for at the time.
Agreed.
Not because I expected this like exodus of AEW talent to join WWE, but I think Cody Rhodes, like you just said, was such a big proponent in that us versus them mindset.
Yeah.
That
challenger brand.
It doesn't. I don't know if it feels the same when it comes from someone that doesn't know what the other side feels like.
Yeah.
Right. Cody Rhodes, and he was the professional, right? He is this like company guy. And when he switched, it's really when WWE started to surge finally. Yes, everyone points to Vince, leaving, right? Obviously that helped. But WWE started to make noise when Cody walked back in the door. And over time, it started building and started building and started building, and Triple H takes over. And then it builds and builds and builds. And now everywhere they go is a record profit in every town. Everywhere they go is a sellout. Everywhere they go is something new. Yesterday, we had the most watched Survivor Series ever.
Yeah.
Is what was being reported by Peacock.
And I'm pulling up the ticket sales of last year and this year, by the way.
Before the first match was even over, it was the most watched. That's how many people were watching this. The Peacock deal has obviously done them wonders, by the way, putting the network on there. But they have gotten themselves hot. And Cody Rhodes moving from AEW to WWE is a major part of that, and it's a major part of why we are seeing what is happening in AEW. CM Punk leaving, it's the next episode of that. And how do you answer this? I think you're absolutely right. I think that original feeling is gone. And you know what? This might be the hottest take I have on this show. It's okay. You know why? Because you need a new feeling after 4 or 5 years. You need to go to that next realm. The next realm isn't getting WWE fans. You know why it's not getting WWE fans? Because they're going to keep watching WWE. You're not getting them. It's not happening. You need to go back to what your core was. Your core are the hardcore wrestling fans. The hardcore wrestling fans that rather see a all-time, slugfest of a match than this great promo and 7-8 month story that involves two guys who hate each other and are now best friends and won't go away. Like, that is not AEW. That isn't even WWE. The retractive thing isn't even WWE. I don't know why. Like, they would not.
We talked about it. It's kind of WWE if instead of Bloodline, you look at it like the Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho.
Sure, but they'd abandon it if Adam Cole was hurt. They'd be like, all right, it's over. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
that's no really the part on. That really, I think that part has really frustrated a lot of people.
Like the inability to go to that next step. right? And that is an AEW, that is a Tony Khan trope of not having that next plan in place instantly. It is something that, oh, all this is going wrong. What do we do now? And it takes a long time to figure it out, right? Remember last year when, Punk and the Elite were suspended? It took a long time to get back on track.
Yep.
I don't know if they ever really did get back on track, truthfully. They had, Omega and the Young Bucks having the great series and stuff like that. And they had John Moxley, thank God. And, they crowned MJF as champion. that didn't pay off. Like the WWE story was the Brochachos originally, and then it became not even WWE anymore. Once Cole, like it would have probably ended at All In. They would have done the turn. They would have moved on, right?
Yeah.
Like I comparing it to the Bloodline, it's so different because the Bloodline had more moving parts than two people as well. Right? There was more ability to prolong it.
Yeah. Real quickly, before we move on to that, more of that stuff. Survivor Series, like you said, most watched Survivor Series in the history of Peacock, history of WWE ever. It was the most watched before the first match even ended. WrestleTix has it at 17,102 tickets distributed. Michael Cole announced 17,138. So, I mean, that's 36 ticket difference. So that's probably the attendance here. Practically a sellout in this arena, if not a full-on sellout. I don't know what the seating arrangement is here, but 17,138, most watched Survivor Series of all time. Last year's War Games, the one in TD Garden in Boston that Scotty was at, was attended by 15,609. So you sold 1,500 more tickets a year later. Just want to also point out Roman Reigns, Bloodline, not involved in the show whatsoever. And it was the most watch ever. And it sold a bunch of tickets and sold even more than last year, where Roman was in the main event. But I digress.
There's just so many moving parts. And ultimately, here's the answer for AEW. Go back to what made you the alternate. Like, I can't stress that enough. You're having a round robin tournament right now. That's part of it. That's definitely part of it. But it all starts at the top. It all starts with the AEW World Title. If the AEW World Title and what's going on with that isn't exciting people, isn't getting people to tune in, then nothing else matters. It's just the truth. They don't have Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins. Like, they don't have four unbelievably over baby faces
LA
to
Knight.
push them past the world title that isn't around, by the way. They don't have that. So the world title is their crutch, and the world title is a damper on things more than anything else.